What's going on, family? It's Brother Coasty at IALLG.com. As always, we're building bridges within to explore the world without. Let's get real with ourselves, y'all. We're on a healing journey. Everybody's on this healing journey. We have to recognize it, accept it, and get with the program. And one of the biggest portions of the healing journey is typically the reclamation or reclaiming our sense of worthiness, feeling worthy within, feeling like we matter, feeling like we are enough. This is a hard pill to swallow, very hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. And it's hard because of a few things. So, one way is we don't even recognize that we don't feel good enough. And instead of addressing this feeling, this undertone of unworthiness, sadness, depression, anxiety, all that stuff, we mask it with overindulgence, whether that be work, life, sex, relationships, people, food, etc. The list goes on, and we don't accept this feeling that we have. The other portion of it is we try to what I call judo flipping it, and we use it as a catalyst to push ourselves. I like have been under pressure. Sometimes I don't like feeling so hot because that pushes me to do more. And while that's a good way to use that energy, it's not healthy because it's not sustainable, because it keeps you in this self-defeating loop. Because what happens when you need to break? What happens when you need to breathe? These feelings that you have not addressed come back in, and they're stronger because you've been repressing them, you've been holding them back. So we have to get honest with ourselves. Those are just two ways that it's hard to get over these feelings. Sometimes we just don't even recognize it in the first place. They are these thoughts are so deeply embedded into our unconscious that we don't even notice them. We can't notice them because we have not allowed ourselves to view life in a different lens outside of our own, outside of the conditionings that we've developed over the course of our lives. And it's no fault of your own, but now it's your responsibility, because if you're watching this video, you recognize these things. And so, it's like the same with money. If you're born poor, it's not your fault, but if you die poor, it's your fault. Same thing right now. You have trauma, that's not your fault, but if you keep your trauma, it is, especially once you know it, because there are tools here and out here that can help you. And if you haven't already, I check out the 3 C's of transformation so you can realize and recognize how to move out of that spot that you're in, and realize the 3 portions or the 3 areas of the 3 tools or techniques to move you from point A to point B, from where you are to where you want to be. So, let's talk about healing for just a moment, because this is going to be a short class as always. Uh, Part of the healing is finding some validation within. That's the first part of healing. And I'm going to tell you, um, healing comes in different stages and many parts. This is just one part. This is what I call the 2 parts of feeling worthy. So the first part is finding validation within. So you inside start feeling worthy, and you inside feel good. You start to accept yourself, and you start loving on yourself, and you start embracing yourself, and you do all the things that you are asking other people to do for you. All right, that's the first part of it. And you have to recognize that you're going to grow into these things. You're going to evolve into that state of being, because you didn't end up in this state overnight. This is a gradual process, and just like any gradual process, it takes a, equal gradual process to reverse it. And now that you're more aware, you don't have to take as long, but it will take some time. It will take some effort. It will take some practice. So be patient with yourself. That's the first level of it. And I know a lot of people are like, well, once I feel validated inside, I'm good, right? Yes and no. The second part is establishing your own validation from your own lens. Ooh. So let's dive into it. If you didn't catch that, it's establishing your own validation from your own lens. So for instance, you may feel unworthy because you were raised in a household that didn't have a lot of money. So what do? You grow up and you get a nice paying job, or even you're an entrepreneur and you have money now, and you feel good about yourself because you're self-sustaining, and you're not in that same box as your family, and you may feel good for a minute or a moment or a few moments or even years, but eventually there's going to come a moment where you feel unfulfilled still. And then the question is, why do I still feel unfulfilled? And it's because you have not discovered your own way of validating yourself. See, you are using somebody else's lens, which is money, financial stability, to validate your worthiness. But as you go deeper on your journey, you'll recognize that that's not enough. You have to instead develop your own way of validating yourself, which is partly self-discovery, because you got to realize what makes you happy and what brings you life and what brings you joy. Maybe financial stability makes you feel comfortable, but instead you want to be a creative. You want to have a creative outlet that makes you feel worthy, that makes you feel valuable. Maybe you want to volunteer your time, and doing that makes you feel worthy, makes you feel validated. Maybe it's just been able to say no to people. You're more assertive. That makes you feel worthy. That makes you feel validated. And that list can go on into perpetuity. And that's on you to start discovering that. That's your job. That's your responsibility to start discovering what really validates you outside of other people's lens, outside of the conditioning that people have put on you. Recognize this, that Inception was such a powerful movie. If you haven't seen it, it's because it's the reality. There's a dream within a dream within a dream. Like, it goes deep beneath the surface, right? So just diving into what we're talking about, the first level is validation. So you dive into that dream of validation. You think you woke up out of that dream of validation only to recognize that you were still in somebody else's dream, right? You broke out of this cage to say that I'm free to do it on my own, but you're still in a big cage because that's somebody else's paradigm. And then you break out of that cage, and then you recognize that, oh, this is me. And then, this, not to go too deep in it, but you might realize those things that make you happy because, again, that was somebody else's thoughts that they put on you. That's just more familiar. Recognize typically the thing that comes to our minds or what's most familiar. Things that comes to our mind, it's what's most familiar to us and it's most comfortable. Therefore, that's what we speak on and act on. But typically, we got to dive deeper. We have to do the unknown. We got to go into the fear zone because most people have an inherent fear of the unknown. Now, fear is not bad. Well, fear is a fake thing. Fear is fake. It's a made-up mental construct, and I know you might be saying, "No, it's not." No, what you're referring to is danger. Danger is very real. Danger is an actuality, but fear is not. Fear is a choice, and that choice is typically inbred in you, so that's your default setting. And part of your healing is getting out of that default setting and just recognizing that you're free to explore. That's one of the greatest gifts of life. Free will is really just freedom of exploration. You can live trial by error. You can take other people's words for it. It's all your choice. But true healing is coming back to yourself, which is a sovereign being. It's not this bodysuit. It's this consciousness. Am I talking about the brain? Excuse me. I don't know what this is. I'll work it through. But it's not the brain, it's the mind. It's the stream of consciousness that animates the body, that powers the mind. But now I'm digressing. That's a deeper level of conversation. And if this is something that you're interested in, I do offer my services. There's 2 parts of my service. I have an academy that's all about getting rid of your limiting beliefs, going down your own venture of self-discovery. It's awesome. It's fun. I think it's fun, at least once you get over the fearful portion of it and addressing some of the things that really hold you back. You have a good cry session. Everybody does. And I can guarantee you, if you haven't cried in a while, you need one. Crying is important. It's allowing you a release. Or maybe maybe not your cup of tea. You're not really looking to get past limiting beliefs. You just want to find more direction. I also do offer one-on-one services if you're interested in those kind of things. Otherwise, take the free content on my channel. I post as much as I can, as much as comes to mind without feeling like I'm forcing it. But that's the lesson for today, y'all. It's the 2 levels of healing. First is finding the validation within, and the second is finding your own sense of validation. This is Brother 𝐁𝐫𝐴 at IALLG.com. As always, we're building bridges within to explore the world without. Peace.